Class is now in session. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he gives you tips, techniques, and strategies to grow and monetize your podcast. Live in his Facebook group, The Better Method of Daily Audience Growth for Independent Podcasters. Learn from him and his special guests as they help you become the next podcast superstar. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, podcasters of all ages, put your hands together for your host, Phil Better.
Hello, wonderful listeners. We're back with another inspiring episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your host, Phil Better, the Podcast Mogul, and today it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our extraordinary guests. We got two of them today. Joining us are Graeme Carling and Leanne Carling, a power couple who embody the true essence of Bill's business success story. Graeme's journey from humble beginnings to failed business attempts took a turn when he committed to his financial education after an Oprah Winfrey show featuring Robert Kiyosaki. You know he's one of my favorite entrepreneurs to follow and a mentor. Together with Leanne, they embarked on a journey of entrepreneurship, determination, and relentless effort, building a business portfolio worth millions of pounds. Leanne, with her unrivaled track record in creative deal making, has played a pivotal role in growing the Carling Property Group into the largest privately owned land share in Scotland. Her expertise in mergers and acquisitions have been instrumental in orchestrating over 1,000 real estate portfolio acquisition transactions totaling around 200 million pounds. Without further ado, let's extend our warm welcome to our incredible great guests, Graeme Carling and Leanne Carling. Guys, welcome.
Thank you, Phil. That was some introduction. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'm sorry I stumbled over my words there. I was just in awe of how you guys have built and what you have achieved from, your humble beginnings and your unparalleled track records. Like, this is kind of a huge honor for me. So I'm a little star-studded, which is rare considering who I've had on the podcast. But thank you guys so much for being here and allowing me to have the chance to talk with you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you.
I'm going to start off right off the bat. What was it about entrepreneurship? Why did you guys jump into the world of entrepreneurship specifically?
I think certainly for me, I didn't know it when I was younger, but I always had, I wanted to, I didn't really, ever feel, I couldn't see the benefits of fitting into conventional 9-to-5 jobs. It didn't really make any sense to me. I seen it with my family, and most of the family, we were brought up in an environment where, there was no money, so the money problem, they just didn't have any. And most of the arguments and fights and disputes and fallouts between, whether it might be my parents or family member, everything was money related. And the harder my dad seemed to work, the less money we seemed, we didn't have it. It just didn't seem to ever be beneficial in any way, shape, or form. And so I think growing up and seeing the stresses that my dad was in and other people that that I knew of. Now, we didn't think we were poor at the time, and we had a really happy childhood and upbringing. But there was always something personally within me missing. And the whole 9-to-5 concept simply did not make any sense to me. That I knew that no matter how good I'd done, I would get to a certain age in my life where, things had changed. I was, you would maybe be doing great back in the day, but you're under huge pressure clinging to your job. Hope you don't get downsized or sacked. And all that stuff. And I just didn't ever want to be in that position, if I'm being honest. I would have much rather have not waited. I'd rather have got those issues or challenges, if you like, out the way early. And So for me, I've always wanted, I've never wanted to work in a 9 to 5. So therefore then, I had to, become an entrepreneur to make sure that I wasn't stuck there.
I love that. And for you, Leanne, what was it about the world of entrepreneurship that called to you?
Yeah, well, pretty similar to Graeme. We both worked in similar backgrounds, distribution companies, transport companies. And, I left school without any formal education, straight out of high school into a job. And really, really hard working. I was always moving jobs to get, promotion, etc., etc. And I just didn't feel that I fitted in, I feel like. And I felt I was missing something. And it was when I met Graeme and he introduced me to the world of entrepreneurship that I thought, that's what I've been looking for. That's what I've been chasing. I remember being young and I moved. My parents had the same job for 33 years, 27 years with the one company. And I was moving jobs all the time. And I remember my father saying, you're going to be unemployable. Companies will be asking, why do you keep moving? And and I was never ever unemployed. I'm hardworking. But there was just something missing working, for someone else 9 to 5. And then, as you said in your introduction, Graeme had seen Oprah Winfrey on the Oprah Winfrey show, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he then, when we met, introduced me to the book, and I thought, God, this is it. This is what we've been looking for.
Yeah. I love it. And because I remember going to a seminar for the Rich Dad Poor Dad group here in Montreal, and I feel akin because a bit of Graeme's story resonates with me because I remember my parents having arguments about money and like having that stress of like we weren't poor, but like money was always a conversation. And then I listened to you, Leanne. I'm like, I did jump from job to job, and my dad said the exact same thing to me. And obviously I was looking for freedom, and that's what like entrepreneur gives us. But we were, when we're young, we're not told about entrepreneurship because we that freedom is scary, because if we don't know what to do with it, you get lost. So how do you, after listening to Robert on Oprah Winfrey, Graeme, did you just dive into everything real estate?
Well, really what happened was, it was after my third failed business, startup, small business. I was in a low ebb, I was in a bad place financially. Not that I had much, and these were only ever small startups, but it was my third one. And I tried various things, and I was unprepared. But so I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I read the book, and it was genuinely like a light bulb moment for me. So that was in 2002, 2003. We didn't quit our jobs and start buying real estate until 2007. And we had the first deal completed in the first quarter of 2008, right at the height of the financial crash. Right when, so it took
perfect time to start. Perfect time to start.
Well, if we were true to what we learned, the timing couldn't have been any better. It was the perfect time. So we were kind of waiting on the sidelines. I was for that period of time. I had to go back to a job, a just over broke, back to mainstream employment, hating it, but good at it. But I had to recover financially. I had to get my confidence back, and I needed to educate myself, knowing that at some point an opportunity will come. And, again, it just happened that real estate was the asset of choice, or the asset that became available. And I knew a lot about it by that point, because I'd spent the years, educating myself. But up until that point, the numbers didn't make any sense. Not when you were doing it, we don't flip properties or that, really, we have done. But our absolute focus was on cash flow and making sure that our income, our monthly income, was greater than our expenses. I mean, really simple. That was it. And the property market crash and how it allowed us to finance the properties and then, keep investing in acquiring more. a window of opportunity, but we were prepared for it by that point. But it was still terrifying when we had to take the leap, because we were going right against what everybody else was doing, you know.
Yeah, and that's something that's been echoed by past entrepreneurs on here, is sometimes you have to go against that flow when everybody is going for the one exit, look for the other exit and try that, because hey, it will, if it works, great. If it doesn't, you still learned, right? I always look at failure or failing as a first attempt in learning, or further attempts in learning, because you learn something from every failure, as long as you get up and try. And like you said, Graeme, you did get knocked down 3 times, took that step back to recover so that you could take the leap and get more increase in your knowledge. And you have 2 people, 2 brains working together is far superior than just one. And you have the weaknesses being your weaknesses being balanced out by their strengths, and you guys jumped in, and now you guys have over 200 million pounds. That's incredible. What is next for you guys in this world of entrepreneurship? Like, what do you guys want to see, Leanne, in the next, like, let's say 10 years?
Well, we'll continue to invest in bigger things. I think, for your listeners, we always, you hear start small, play it safe. If we were to give advice on the starting small, we'd say no, because it's a numbers game. It's only more zeros and bigger deals. It's the same process. It's the same transactions that happen. So if we were to give ourselves advice, and it would have been start bigger sooner. For future, it'll be bigger things, different sectors, so the future's bright. We're looking forward to it.
And especially right now, where it's still kind of like it feels like, with the prime rate going up across the world, the inflation, things obviously, there has to be a drop that's going to be coming, and you guys are going to be in an excellent position, because this is like the second time, Graeme and Leanne, you're jumping into a potentially bad, quote unquote, bad market, but it's a great time to invest when everybody is scared, as I say with the stock market. What's really interesting, you guys went into the real estate sector reading Robert Kiyosaki. One of my good friends and mentor, Lloyd, he went into the stock market and leveraged the stock market using the principles that he learned from Robert as well. So I love seeing how different people can play off of that. I do want to talk about investing in yourselves, because that is pertinent to this podcast. That's what it is about. As entrepreneurs who have built successful business portfolios, what investments have you made in your personal and professional development that you believe have been pivotal to your ongoing success? And how has this commitment to investing in yourselves contributed to your abilities to tackle new ventures and achieve strategic goals?
We started going to Rich Dad Poor Dad, Rich Dad seminars in Scottsdale, Arizona, back in 2007, 2008. I think we started going. We used to go 2-3 times a year. And that was on a time when we didn't have a lot of money or a lot of cash at the start, when we were just starting out. So Leanne will tell you the story, about how much we spent and what our friends said. But we made an absolute commitment that we would go on a journey of continual joint learning, where we can both be on the same page and continue. And even if that meant things might be a bit slower, it's maybe easier for one of us to go off on a trajectory. That was a life decision that we've made, that we'll continue on the same path. And we have not stopped doing that. Unfortunately, the Rich Dad seminars ended a few years ago. We used to love going over there, let's say 3-4 times a year. Our son, I think he was in Arizona, 4 or 5 times by the age of 2. He was, we took the family. It was just, we were committed to it, dedicated. And it is absolutely crucial. I can't even think of an amount that we have spent on it, because it is just part and parcel of what we do. Year in, year out, we travel the world, we speak to people, we have mentors that have done significantly greater than us, and that's the environment that we chase now. So where we're really looking to someone that's really going to stretch us, really going to, and we learn so much from these people that have walked the walk, because I suppose it's one of the disappointing things, when we've met so many great people across the years traveling the world. We went all over the world for our education, investing in ourselves, but so many people just don't do anything with it. They're very smart, they get it, they're academically they get it, but emotionally they just seem to crumble. When the first thing goes wrong, it's tough. And we build that side of it. Do something every day that scares you. We don't quite manage it every day, but we do really challenge ourselves to see how we're going to react. But
I think in the earlier days, Graeme and I were very good. We travelled 3 or 4 times per year to the States. It was a lot of money. As Graeme said, we didn't have it, but we made sure that we got it to invest in ourselves. And I remember my friend saying to me, "You spend more in education than I did my wedding." But that's why we are where we are, and because we did focus on what we were spending on education, and we did put the effort in, we put the travel in,
we do,
and we still do. But what we do is we apply everything we learn, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, we review why it didn't work, and reassess everything that we're learning. And I think, attending the seminars in the early days, it gave us the accountability, if you like, because we knew we were going back to Scottsdale, 3 months later, and they were going to ask you what you had applied and what you had achieved after, the previous seminars. So, but we still continue to do that. We apply everything that we learn and then review and assess.
I love that, because you guys are taking self-education to the next level. I think a lot of people are turned off education because of the traditional education system isn't the most enjoyable. You're learning things that you need to learn, but it's not. You don't see how applicable it is until like hindsight's 2020 when you're older, and then post-secondary education isn't necessarily all that it's cracked up to be. And I love how you guys were like, yeah, we may not have had the big educational things. Like you said, Leanne, you left with a secondary education, and look at where you are today. You went and you studied things that you enjoyed learning.
Yeah. And it is also the way of learning is, because as Robert Kiyosaki goes on about it, the classroom learning is not for everyone, and I couldn't tell you what I learned at school, but learning the way you want and what you want to learn, it's just fantastic.
Phil, another part of this is we've went and taken risks on businesses that was high risk, but it was high education. So not just in classroom format or following someone that might be a guru or but real participatorial learning and education, because at some point you got to get skin in the game and you got to learn it. So we've done crazy gambles. We've had further failures, by the way. It's not just the 3. We've had many others, but they're all part of whether it's lessons and character building and seeing how you're going to react. Very difficult to second guess yourself in the eye of the storm. And I think that's one thing when we look back now, we're seeing what are our strengths. We are very resilient, and that's been brought up just by going through, the mill, by being turning up, taking the lessons, recovering and going again. So that's probably for me. That's why it's very difficult to put a value on it. You can add up how much you spent on, going to courses and training courses, but but that's actually only a small part of, and you keep doing it.
I think as well, even we love looking at deals, analysing them, doing all the due diligence. And we always say some of the deals, the best deals that we've done are the deals that we didn't do. You could have worked on something for 10 months and then, the more due diligence you do, you think this isn't for me, and it takes a better person to walk away and say, this isn't right for us.
And also, it takes a better person not to second guess yourself afterwards.
Yeah.
Because if you start second guessing yourself, that's when you start, you lose that self-confidence, and then you do those horrible deals. And I love how you guys said the best deals are the ones that you walked away from because you learn so much from it.
We can analyze deals, and we have strict criteria for different sectors, and when we're sitting discussing deals, I'm very strict. Graeme will sometimes try to bend the rules to make a deal, and I'll say no, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And a lot of the properties that we own, I haven't even been in them, but if the numbers stack up and it works, then it's a good deal.
I like that. I like how Graeme tries to play a little fast and loose with the rules. He seems like that gentleman, like a risk taker, as he says. Like some of the deals have been big risks and big rewards, but also great education. And she's like, no, I have to rein in this stallion every once in a while. That's a great relationship, and it shows that you guys have a great relationship because you guys, again, balance out each other's strengths and weaknesses, so that you guys can be the success you guys are. I'm
sorry, Phil. I also push him on sometimes because
The what? Oh, you could do that.
So Graeme was thinking about a company. He's looking at buying a company, and he was, questioning himself, and what do you think? What do you think? And I says to him, do you know what? Are you the nearly man? I nearly bought it. So, and he was like, oh,
So,
well, I'm guessing you had already taken a look at those numbers and realized that it was a good investment. So that's why you felt okay pushing it. But if it wasn't a good investment, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have. You'd be like, hey, you are the nearly man. You nearly bought it, and it was a smart move. But yeah, I love that because you guys know how to play the game together and win together, which is really important. I want to know. Do you think you guys would have been as successful apart, or do you think you owe your success to being such a great couple?
Well, I think, look, the reality is, we were both in dead-end jobs before we met each other. And, now we're not. So clearly better off to get together. There's no doubt about that.
We make a good team.
I love that. Is there a moment in you guys' journey that when you guys it's the quiet of the night, you're after a long day, you just reflect back and it's just a memory that just pops up and just like a good memory that you love to talk about because it brings so much?
That's a great question. We do have, there are moments, about various things, we just sometimes reflect on, wow, crikey, we've done this, and how fortunate, are we? But they're kind of, and I just think it's how it's going to be for us. Very difficult to sit there in the moment and savor that. When you were just so desperately keen just to keep going. We've got so much more to give and do and be, and we've got a lot of responsibilities with the amount of staff that we have that rely upon us, that have got to see us, and that we represent. So it's just right, yes, we've done it, but next, it's just next. Where are we going? What have we got to? So it's more of a, I don't know why it is, because people think, well, come on, you've got to be thankful for what you have. And of course we are, but we've only just started. We've got so much more to do.
Like we first started our journey, I think what Graeme said, you know, we both quit our jobs on the same day. Originally, it was like, I want to leave, I'll leave and I'll do it full time and you continue with the job. And I think we both agreed at that time, if we're going to do this and do it together, then we do it together. So we both quit our jobs the same day and started our journey. And it's been like that ever since. You know, there's been fantastic highs, but there's been fantastic lows as well. But we always support each other and, you know, what we're doing.
I kind of, Leanne, I kind of like how you said there was fantastic lows, because even though the lows were low, they were good because you were together and you could see what you took out of it. And most people say the lows are the darkest points, but you're reframed it, and I love that.
I think on some of the challenges when we'll flip chart, you know. Oh man, how are you going to get through this lot, you know, with all of this stuff? And in those moments, I'm not saying they're eureka moments, but they're the mind then realizes, you see how good what you're made of, you know, in those real, you know, dark or turbulent times, you know, when, you know, things are nothing's going right, you know, you don't know what the next hit's going to come from and all that stuff. And that's just part of being an entrepreneur. In those moments, they are the fantastic moments. They are. Because when you come through them, you look back and you go, whoa. No, you know.
We always say, like, we go into almost like recovery mode. So we assess the problem and we just get to work. And there's a funny story. This is non-work related.
Yeah. You
know, we're driving along the motorway in Spain with the two children in the car. And we had a roof box, and the roof box blew off the car, lying on the motorway, and the trucks are whizzing past. And we just went into recovery mode to protect our family, to protect ourselves, and all the other road users. You know, I'm directing traffic, and Graeme's collecting all our belongings off the motorway, and the children are waving out the back window, you know, thinking, what are my mum and dad doing? But we do that in business as well. And as Graeme says, we flip chart things, and there's been times that you think, how are we going to get through this? But we just chip at it one bit at a time. And then the rewards when you actually see the problem being solved is fantastic.
Oh, I love that. I love that piece of advice. It's something that I need to take more at heart. I give it to I give it to my brother. As some of the audience may know, my brother lives with paranoid schizophrenia. And when he gets overwhelmed of thinking about stuff coming in, and it gets him all riled up, and his unfortunate symptoms starts to flare up. But I've told him, just what in front of us? What can we deal with? Let's just deal with that. The rest will come or be solved when we solve the problem in front of us. And it's helped him. I apparently don't take my own advice. But now that I've heard it come from two amazing, successful entrepreneurs like yourself, I think I'm going to start thinking about it like that, and one step at a time. We are coming to near the end, which I hate because I'm having such a great time with you. So we're going to jump to the last question. This is how I close all shows because I think it's the greatest piece of advice we can get. Also, I'm going to be stealing it and giving it to my nephews. So don't tell anybody. But I have 10-year-old Graeme. I have 10-year-old Leanne right beside me. What's one piece of advice that you guys want to give to your 10-year-old selves?
Well, it's a really easy one for me. Fail faster. Start as quick as you can, fail faster, build the character, get in the game as quick as you can. There is never going to be a perfect time. You know, don't spreadsheet it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. Get in the game. My regret, if any, and I started my businesses pretty young, and everybody thought I was, you know, off my head from where I came from. I should have started. You know, as soon as I left the school, I knew what I wanted to do. I should have went, and I was listening to advice from my parents and others that were lifer employees, and that was not what I wanted to be. And if you're wrong, move. You can recover. So you know, at a young age. So for me, fail fast, get in the game as quick as you can.
I also agree with Graeme. And I would add to that, you know, have a good team around you, good advisors, you know, seek the best, because in the early days, we you're kind of trying to save money and you're penny pinching, but it costs you more in the long run. So seek the best advisors, have a great team around you, and fail fast.
I love that. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off screen here. I want you to let my audience know where they can find you, follow you, whatever it is you like. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so we can be found at thecarlinggroup.co.uk or on LinkedIn, Graeme.Carling or Leanne.Carling. So we're available on LinkedIn or on our website, thecarlinggroup.co.uk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. I can't thank you enough for being here and sharing your story and sharing some great pieces of advice for my audience. Thank you again, Graeme and Leanne.
Thank you. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
To my audience, as you know, check out the show notes down below to connect with the Carling group and the Carlings so that you can learn from them and take your education to the next level. And always, remember to invest in yourself.